Alright, so the next film we're having a look at is Birds of Prey. Now, I haven't seen this before, and I'd never heard of it prior to this review, so let's see if it's any good. Birds of Prey, otherwise known as Beaks, and Beaks the Birds 2, is a 1987 Mexican horror film directed by Rene Cardona Jr. So the film begins with shots of people shooting birds. We then cut to a journalist called Vanessa, played by Michelle Johnson, talking to her perverted boss. He tells her she's to go and report on a farmer who has been attacked by his chickens. She reluctantly agrees, and with her cameraman Peter, played by Christopher Atkins, heads on down to investigate. Meanwhile, we cut to an elderly man in a large house. He looks out of the window at a bird, which then flies at him and pecks out his eye. Back to the reporter, the farmer talks about how after the attack, he feels that all birds are aggressive towards him. They test this with a canary, which scratches his cheek. After some shots of birds, we cut to a pilot, who is having difficulty landing his plane because of a large flock of birds. The pilot is attacked, and the plane crashes and explodes. Back to the reporter, and it seems they are heading over to the man who was attacked previously's house for an interview. He explains that he thinks the farmer's incident is connected to his. He also says that other people he knows in Rome were also attacked in a similar fashion, so the reporter heads to Rome to investigate further. They interview a couple who talk about their attack, and we get a flashback of the woman and her baby getting assaulted by a flock of birds. We then meet a family who are in a park. The father encourages the kids to interact with pigeons. He takes pictures until the birds start acting aggressively, and they flee to their car. Back at the one-eyed man's house, and he gets a phone call from his annoying granddaughter. His daughter then asks if they could hold a birthday party for his granddaughter at his house. He hesitantly agrees. After a weird edit, we learn that Vanessa and Peter are intimate. Back over to the farmer's place, he and his wife are relaxing at a dining table. The birds slowly start attacking and the farmer and his wife are killed. Jump over to a beach, and a young couple are hanging out in a camper van. The girl leaves to go for a jog and the boy is killed. Meanwhile, the family from earlier pull up to the same beach. They have a flat tyre, so while the kids play, the adults bicker. The kids decide to check out the camper, but find a corpse. The family again flee and decide to hide in an inlet. The reporter interviews a doctor who says it seems like a mutation in the bird's instincts, and that they are working together. Back at the inlet, and the jogging girl from earlier meets with the family for shelter. Now the birds really start attacking. A hand-gliding man is killed, the birds attack the children's birthday party, more birds enter the inlet through the ventilation, and after the reporters learn from their boss that it's happening all over the world, they decide to band together with some locals to fight them. To fight the birds, the reporter and her crew use a train, whilst the others all flee from their respective hiding places. After the people on the train blow up a carriage full of birds, the attacks seem to stop. For no reason, the birds go back to normal, and after some look after the Earth messages, the film ends. So, my thoughts on this film. It's alright. It's nothing to take seriously, and I got some laughs here and there. It was pretty fun. The shots of birds are really cool. I think they use a similar technique to Hitchcock, where they have a selection of real birds and a selection of fake ones in the shot at the same time to simulate a huge flock. The acting and dubbing is quite appalling in parts. Here are a few selected scenes as examples.
Hi, Grandpa.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Fine, Grandpa. How's my horse?
Like tactics. They'd fly, then regroup, and attack again.
Something I should mention is that birds were harmed in the making of this film. They were thrown through windows, and in a cut scene, a bird was struggling as it was caught by the neck on a pole. This is quite common for low-budget international horror films of the 70s and 80s, and it means that in this release, 4 seconds were cut out by the BBFC. The gore effects are okay and they work within the film. The gore is quite sporadic, but when we do get some, it can be quite effective. There are some really weird edits, such as this one as an example.
Welcome home.
And there are more like this throughout. I didn't like the ending, it didn't explain anything, and seems like the whole film existed for the look after the earth and nature message. It can very easily be compared to Hitchcock's The Birds, and in Italy was marketed as the sequel. There are tons of similar shots and scenarios, and the plot is near identical. I'd say check out Hitchcock's film over this one. As for the release itself, it's a bit of a weird one, compared to last week's anyway. As you can see by the footage, the aspect ratio is a lot better and the quality of the print is about the same. There are some weird parts with the quality dropping, and I did notice this bizarre flicker, which looks to me like a VHS transfer, but I had no problem watching this version. A bit of a weird inclusion is that as the film ends and just before the credits, it says in big bold font Beaks, which at first I didn't understand at all. After learning it was the alternate title, however, I still find it a little strange they'd leave it in. The case is okay, really. The information is decent, summing up the film without giving too much away, and it all seems spelling error free. What they did get wrong, however, is the runtime. Even though the DVD claims 90 minutes, the film actually only runs for 84. The film just starts, no menu or anything, just straight away film. The menu is actually right at the end of the film, or if you press the menu button on the DVD remote, which is something I'm not a fan of. As for the special features, they are really appalling. We have a gallery with stills from the film, we have filmographies again, pointless, and we have what might be the worst trailer I've yet seen. It's basically just clips from the film badly edited together. It doesn't even say the name of the film. Utter trash, and isn't even mentioned on the back. One last thing to mention is when I tried ripping the DVD for footage, my computer made some really loud sounds and the software crashed. Here's a video I recorded of the incident. So overall, I'd say that this film is okay for a laugh. It might be worth checking out while drinking with friends. If you haven't seen Hitchcock's The Birds already, that's definitely worth checking out over this. As for the release, I think that it is the only version released in the UK. There is another version released under Beyond Terror, but I believe it's exactly the same version as this. So if after watching this you're curious, check it out. If you watched this and thought it looked shit, then just don't bother. I'd give it a slight recommendation.